Konnichiwa! So over the last week I've been out and bought a couple more games for the games room, and there's one in particular that I'm really excited about, and that's Wrestle War. The Wrestle War is one of the best wrestling games that I've ever played. It's actually the only wrestling game I've ever played, but it is a brilliant game. It also turns out it was the first 16-bit wrestling game ever to be released. Game on! If there's one thing you need to know about Sega, is that they were the best at bringing their arcade games into the home with their home consoles. The same is true for Wrestling War.
Welcome to Wrestle War!
In 1991, Sega ported over its internally developed Wrestling War from arcade into the home consoles on the Sega Mega Drive, but not on the Sega Genesis. And the reason why it didn't come out on the Sega Genesis? Probably because 6 out of the 8 characters in it were pretty much from the WWF, including superstar Hulk Hogan. Now I have no idea about wrestling, my friend does, he even owns a wrestling federation, so if you recognise any of the wrestlers, let me know in the comments below. Well, now, whilst the game wasn't released on the Genesis, it did get a Japanese and international release, or the PAL release. Now here's the PAL cover. Now usually Sega do a great job with the European and PAL covers, and this one isn't that bad. But then when you look at the Japanese cover, oh my god, it looks freaking amazing. Look at that artwork on it, and they've got Hulk Hogan on there. Now I absolutely love the arcade action of the game, and the way I put this in perspective for people is I don't play wrestling games because they're kind of like simulator games for me, much like Gran Turismo is for cars, and I only barely played Gran Turismo, but I do play a lot of Outrun, and so for me this is kind of like the Outrun for wrestling games. Pretty simple to get into, a lot of fun, it's quick to play, and it's 2-player, so you've got that couch co-op competitiveness as well. So when you start the game, you go straight into a fight with an unranked wrestler. Once you've beaten him, you can go onto the world map and choose who you fight next. Now that can be unranked wrestlers, or you can go for a title fight. Now the thing I absolutely love about this game is the invisible depth that it has to it. When you first start playing the game, you'll have simple punches and kicks and grapple moves that you can go into. But you soon realise that once you're in grapple, that if you press the D-pad in a different direction, you can perform different moves. And as you play through the game, what on the surface looks like a simple punch and kick grappling kind of wrestling game, turns out to be a game with a ton of moves in there and a load of strategy. Now if you play the game on easy, it is super easy, you can get through it in about 20 minutes. If you stick it up to medium, that's when things start to get hard. And your skill in the game and the understanding of its movesets become really important. Now there are 2 titles that you can fight for, the SWA title and the SWF title. Once you have both of those and you've beaten all the wrestlers on the map, you get 2 more challenges to take on. And once you've taken care of those 2 challenges, that's it, you're the champion and it's game over. Now graphically this game is technically still a Gen 1 game, but it still looks great. The sprites are nice and big, the animations are good, there's some camera work in there, so the camera switches angles depending on where the fight is. There's some great camera shake as the characters hit the canvas, and there's even some ringside action. But you can still tell it's a Generation 1 game. There's no crowd like there is in the arcade game, there's no entrance like there is in the arcade game, the sound isn't super great in there, the frame rate isn't brilliant on there. Some of the animation is a little bit iffy, and when you do get the camera changes, there's a slight black screen as it switches. But overall, Wrestle War is a great, fun little title to get your hands on. And for me, it's my best wrestling game. It's my only wrestling game, but it's still a great one. I love it when I go out on a retro gaming hunt and I find something that has a huge amount of nostalgic value for me. Wrestle War was a great purchase. But I actually got some other cool games as well. Mortal Kombat 2 on the SNES, brilliant game. I picked up Vigilante for the Master System. The graphics on this game are fantastic for the system. Combat's not as good as Double Dragon, which is my all-time favorite, but still a great pickup. And lastly, I picked up the absolutely fantastic Strider to go along with my Strider 2 copy. And that's it for today's show. Remember, if you love retro gaming, then make sure you subscribe to the channel by clicking on my little pixel head below. And while you're here, you might as well get some more retro gaming goodness by checking out these two videos.